You're listening to Northcentral Nfused, the official podcast of Northcentral Electric Cooperative, your source of information for your cooperative and our community.
All right, Northcentral Nfused. It is the end of October. We're going into November. I am your media specialist, Justin Jaggers. I'm joined once again by our CEO and General Manager, Kevin Doddridge.
All right, hello.
Hey. Our Director of Safety and Loss Control, J.D. Cox.
Good to be with you.
And our Director of Marketing and Economic Development, Michael Bellapani.
Thanks, Justin. And
we are back in the conference room this month. We're a little bit spaced out, maintaining our social distance. All right, so I'm just going to jump into it. We have some updates from our CEO, so we'll let you take over.
Let me update.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll do that. Regrettably, we're not going to be able to have our annual meeting next week as we normally do. In this area, the COVID virus has seemed or given the appearance of ramping up somewhat. And in response to that, the governor issued another executive order that limits the number of people that we can have in a meeting space, which technically just makes it impossible for us to have the membership come in for the normal annual meeting. So what we are planning on will be a virtual type event to where the board will be in the building. That will actually max out the number of people we can have in that room. We will attempt to conduct business as usual. I will give a brief update on the status of Northcentral, the cooperative and Northcentral Connect, and the board will transact what business that we can. This year, no one chose to oppose any of our incumbent directors for position on the board, so there will not be an election. But to transact business, we need a quorum. We've achieved that through the proxy, so we will get a report from our election and credentials committee as to the quorum and the ability to transact business. But we apologize. The annual meeting is membership meeting. It's a membership meeting, and we encourage our members to attend. But an executive order is something that we have to comply with, so we just won't be able to pull it off in its traditional form this year. I think we're like everybody else. We're getting COVID fatigue. It's starting to show, but we just hope that we'll be able to get together soon. That's about all we can hope for.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So moving on to safety, we just celebrated our. How many hours did you say we celebrated during Safety Day without a lost time accident?
It's up to 116,000 hours now without a lost time incident. So we're very excited about that. We did have a great event. Got to celebrate 3 of our apprentice linemen receiving their journeyman certificates. These guys have been in the lineman program for 4.5 to 5 years. Put in about 10,000 hours worth of on-the-job training, not to mention all the additional workbook, written tests, things of that nature. So the fruits of their labor are paying off, and really looking forward to them assuming their new roles and taking on their new responsibilities. And also looking forward to them being able to turn around now and help train the ones that are coming up behind them. So as it relates to workforce development, Northcentral continues to carry on with a real strong tradition of that. Very proud of those guys. Also, weather's starting to change a little bit. I think we talked about it. 80 today, not even 60 degrees tomorrow, and then back almost to 80 degrees by the end of the weekend.
Sinuses through the roof.
And with that, all the dips in temperature and things of that nature, it does bring up the time of the year we're heading into severe weather. Governor Reeves has issued a proclamation declaring this fall severe weather preparedness week, so just wanted to remind everyone of that. Just be sure that going into the storm season, if you see any type of lines down on the ground, do not attempt to touch them, get close to them. Please report them. Call us. Don't assume that we know. Always assume that the line is dangerous. call someone, let us know. We'll send somebody out there to look at it and make it safe. During a storm event, if you decide to use a generator, just continue to keep in mind, make sure that those are outside when they are in use. It never fails. It seems like we've had just hurricane after hurricane after hurricane coming out of the Gulf this year. And some of the most tragic stories you hear, more times than not, are elderly people who have generators because they don't have power at their house, and they're running them inside their garage because they're scared that somebody may take the generator. They forget about it. Carbon monoxide poisoning builds up, and it's always a tragic incident. So just remember during this time, make sure you have flashlights, make sure you keep all of your devices charged up, things of that nature. We will always be there 24/7. If your lights are out or you have any issues, you call us and we will get there. That is our business, is to make sure that your power is on. And also, last thing, just like to mention that this past week we had 18 apprentices from across the state attend an outdoor lineman training school. It was a great event. We had some great instructors come in from across the state and really got to pass along their knowledge and expertise to these first level apprentices. So we were certainly, glad that we could accommodate that outside and get that done. The weather worked out for us. It was beautiful, and it was a good week.
Cool. All right, so moving from safety to community events, I hate to say it, Christmas things are starting to happen.
Yeah, we're tumbling downhill towards the end of the year, and some exciting times with the holidays and events in the community. This little executive order is going to put a damper on some of the plans, but we'll work around it. We'll make the best of it, just as we always do. I do want to address a couple of things because I made some promises on social media to some members that we would give an update on Connect. Northcentral Connect, if you haven't heard, we're starting an internet company. But we've launched the website. It's I forgot to tell you that, boss. Sorry.
While you're out.
While you were out. Visit northcentralconnect.com, and you're able to go in there and enter your address and see where you are in the current phase. If you're in the first phase of the build, we're going to have service 2 members by year end. That will approximately begin connecting services the end of November. We are waiting on a very critical piece of equipment to be delivered. So that's kind of one of those things. There's a lot of variables involved in this, and materials, equipment, labor, technology, all factor into this. So I appreciate everybody's patience as we get this company off the ground and move towards connecting services. But those of you in the Red Banks and Ingram's Mill area, eastern part of Lewisburg, Byhalia, just bear with us, we're coming. So looking forward to doing that and marketing that. There will be some direct mail pieces that come out, and we're going to send you a letter if you were in that first phase and give you the opportunity to go ahead and sign up for service.
To kind of give you a little idea of kind of exactly where we stand, we are building out the first phase, and then we have a second phase and a third phase that are in the design process right now. We do the design work, then we have to do a certain amount of make-ready work. It's not just as simple as putting fiber on a pole. We have to make sure that the pole, the specs are proper, that we remain compliant. We're having to move around some items that are already occupying that telecom space. So sometimes we have to change the pole out. Sometimes we just have to move some of the apparatuses around. We're going to do it deliberately. We're going to plan it correctly and try to do it safely. We've already had one young man that came in contact with one of our energized lines when he was trying to adjust an already piece of cable that was in the telecom space. And once again, we don't want to get in such a hurry. And unfortunately, the young man, he's okay. But we don't want to get anybody hurt, injured, killed, anything like that as we try to roll this out in haste. So we're going to do it at a good speed. When people say, how fast you're going to roll it out, I'm going to say fast enough.
No.
And but it is a scheduled 5-year build, roughly $125 million. So big project that we're undertaking. Thanks for bringing that up. And, but we're gonna get to most people in time.
Yeah.
That's all.
It's more than just flipping a switch, unfortunately.
Well, it's like Kevin talks about all the time. You know, it took us since 1950 to build our distribution
Right.
system. You know, now we're talking about providing, high-speed internet services to those same members within 5 years. I mean, that just shows how quickly things are moving.
Yeah, and a lot of this is initial planning, and once we get the backbone, we have the backbone in place, but the technology and the administrative support and all that kind of thing, that stuff that goes along with running a company, we got that in place. It's all down to construction and marketing, so things will move a lot quicker when we get to that point. But yeah, that website is northcentralconnect.com. Please go visit that. Make sure you register your address, because that gets put into a map, and that helps guide our decisions as we go
It
forward.
does influence what phases, how we're going to build it out. Yeah, that
That's right.
information will influence those decisions.
There's also pricing and add-ons, and even suggested streaming services.
That's right.
You can plan this out for the next while you're waiting. You can plan out what you're going to do with your internet, I guess.
You're right. And I'm going to circle back and talk about the annual meeting. Yeah, it's unfortunate that we're not going to be able to do that in person this year, because as a member-owned cooperative, there's a certain level of engagement that we enjoy with that. And part of that is after Kevin's address, we have the membership address him and send questions. So we're going to try and pull this off virtually. We're going to try and be able to address those questions. So if you do have some concerns or questions for the board or a management team, you can email those to info@northcentralelectric.com, and we will make sure to address those. But it will most likely be aired over Facebook Live, and we'll try and do our best to record it as well. So
I'm
we'll
going to be
have that.
busy. Yeah.
So that date is Wednesday, October 28th, and that will occur at 2:00. Now, we will be open for business that day, so you can still conduct your business, but the meeting will be closed to comply with the executive order. Next day, October 29th, we're going to have a blood drive. Vitalent, which is formerly Lifeblood, will be here from 1 to 5, I believe.
Yes.
So, in this time, especially during this pandemic, blood is in short supply, and especially O-type blood. So please make your plans to come and give a donation. You can go to Vitalent's website and pre-register and set an appointment. But give the gift of life. It's very important, especially
we'll give you a
during
T-shirt
these
and a
times.
cookie too.
That's right. That's right. And just a few other dates that I wanted to give out there, just so folks will have them on their calendar. We were scheduled to host the Bahia area chamber luncheon on November 12th. Due to the executive order, we're not going to be able to do that here at our office, so we're searching for an alternative venue in Marshall County, or perhaps taking that virtually. So you can visit the Bahia Chamber's website for current information on that. Follow them on Facebook. And same story on October 11th with the Olive Branch Chamber luncheon. We'll figure that out. More information to come. If you go to olivebranchms.com, you can keep up with that. And just so everybody has this on their calendar, December 5th will be the Olive Branch Christmas Parade, and that's at 2:00. We will have this parade. It may be in a different format than what everybody's used to. We've circled the ideas of having a reverse parade, a static parade, where actual attendees just walk and the floats stay still. We'll see how that
Like an
works out.
outside enchanted forest.
Christmas zoo. Yeah.
I think you have your theme for the float now.
Absolutely.
But we've got Santa.
Yeah, Santa.
We bring Santa.
Santa. I talked to Santa yesterday, and he has us on his calendar, so he will be here. And then just real quick, I wanted to touch on Youth Tour and Youth Leadership Program. This time of year, we are busy visiting schools and holding assemblies and recruiting our class for the Youth Leadership Program that we've been sponsoring for 33 years now. Unfortunately, we're not able to do that at this point because the schools are limiting visitors and then field trips are on hold. As a statewide group of advisors that put on this program, we're talking on a constant basis about how we can pull this off, if we can pull this off during this pandemic. We really want to because it's such a valuable program for these students to make a lifelong impact on them and help them to build relationships. But we'll have a conference call next week and make an ultimate decision on how we're going to be able to proceed with that. If we're going to, for those of you that don't know, it includes a 3-day workshop in Jackson in February and then a week-long trip to Washington, D.C. in June. So as you can imagine, with travel restrictions and gathering restrictions, at this point in time, I don't foresee us being able to have it, but we are going to see whether we can do this virtually or have a scholarship in lieu. We still want to invest in our students, and we're going to make our best effort to do so.
Yeah. All right, and I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't say that we have follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We have doubled our social media presence. You can follow North Central Electric Cooperative on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can follow North Central Connect on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and then we'll have a podcast social media presence as well. So my job just got 3 times as hard.
That's right, and
managing,
but you manage it so well.
I try.
Folks, when you go to YouTube and you subscribe, if you click on that bell, that gives you a notification every time a new podcast is up. And if you're listening to us through Apple Podcast or Stitcher or any of those, make sure you give us a rating, share it with others. We want this to be a valuable tool to get information out to you.
Absolutely, and if you have a podcast suggestion or a question you want answered on this podcast, it's podcast@northcentralelectric.com, and we will, that email address will stay the same, but we are changing things up starting next month. So
stay tuned.
Look for a rebrand and a new location and a new safety. No, I'm kidding. We were joking.
We're just not going to tell everyone where the new location is.
Yes, it's somewhere in this building. We're just not sure where. All right, so that is all for us at North Central Infused. We will see you next month.
If you have a podcast idea or want to feature your small or nonprofit business on North Central Infused, email us at podcast@northcentralelectric.com. North Central Infused is streamed on iTunes, Podbean, and Stitcher, and is also available on our social media channels. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Please do us a favor and subscribe to North Central Infused. Leave a review and even share an episode with others.